Hi there and welcome to today's tutorial. We are going to look at how we can build a simple conference app powered by Zigo Cloud. So this is what the application looks like, very basic. It's just a functionality we want to look at. So I have this built on 2 emulators plus my physical phone, which you can't see. So what I'm going to do is be a host on my physical phone so that we can all join the same meeting. So I'm going to enter a meeting ID of 123, which you can't see. So over here, I'll enter the same 123. Because we want to join the same meeting together. So I'll start on my device. Then what I'll do is go ahead and then join these 2. So when I click on start, you can see the permissions are kicking up. And so my physical device and this device are on the same. Let me mute my mic because it's interfering me. So these 2 are now in the same meeting, as you can see. You can see my monitor over here. So I'll go ahead and start this 1-2. And you can see the 3 of us are in the same meeting. Of course, the Android emulator cannot physically show you a camera, as you can see. So if I click on this, you can see we have this beautiful UI here, or should I say UI elements, same on my physical device. And we didn't have to do much here. This is all powered by Zigo Cloud, and it's just a simple line of code that does this for you. Okay, so what I can go ahead and do here is to chat. So let me go ahead and say hi and send this. You can see that shows up here for the user that just sent that. So I can also reply on this device and say hello. And if I send this, this also shows up on my physical device. And let me reply with my physical device and then say, hope you guys are enjoying the conference, and send that, and you can see that shows up here. So even this chat feature, we didn't have to bother implementing it. This is all powered by Zigo Cloud. Okay. And as you can see, there are other things you can do. You can turn off your mic if you don't want to be seen, your audio and all of that. Okay. One other neat feature is you can get to see those who are also here. You can flip your camera, okay, if you want to. So this is a virtual device. So as you can see, this is what you're going to see. Okay, so if I hide this, then this is what we have now. Okay, and one thing you can also do is share your screen. So like a screen record. So if I start now, you can see the 2 devices are seeing exactly what I'm doing on my screen. Okay, so this start now is from my screen. If I click on it again, you can see they are literally going to see what I'm doing on my screen. And this is a neat feature. It's a very neat feature. Okay, I'm not really going to do anything crazy here. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, and then everything is back. For you to see what that looks like if I start sharing here, and then I start now, then this is what that device is going to look like. So in case I was doing anything, drawing or showing anything, then all the other devices will see that. So I'm going to stop sharing now. Okay, so what happens if one person leaves? So let's go ahead and leave. So if I click here, you can see they tell you that person has left the conference and it's left with the 2 of us. So if I go ahead and also leave on my physical device, then you can see I've also left, so it's just this person. Of course, if we also leave here, then we are back on the screen. So that's it. And this is what we're going to be building today, and I hope you would enjoy it. Let's dive right in. The simplicity of this app is made possible by Zigo Cloud. Zigo Cloud is a global communication service provider that provides developer-friendly, powerful SDKs and APIs to help you integrate common features that we are used to seeing in our day-to-day voice and video chats, live streaming apps, and so on. And they are trusted by over 4,000 businesses. Okay, now one of my favorite features is their pre-built UI kits. You don't have to worry about how your UI is going to look. You just need to implement the code, and it's just a few lines of code. It's mostly termed as low code, okay, and it will take care of the UI and give you the common features that you normally see. As you can see, they provide a lot of powerful SDKs and APIs for almost all the platforms that are out there. So you have for native Android, iOS, web, Flutter, of course, React Native, Windows, macOS, and Electron. And you can check at the top bar here and you can see all the services and products that they provide. So let's see how we can get started. To get started, simply click on sign up. And on the sign up page, it's pretty simple. Simply type in your first name, your last name, your country, your work email. And then what you have to do here is, once you enter your work email, you click on get code. You're going to be sent a code in which you enter. Of course, I have an account here already. That's why it's picking all of these up. So once you enter that code, you'll be asked to verify if you're a robot or not. Once you're done, create your password, read and accept the terms, and then start your free trial. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and then log into my account so that we proceed. I'll link a video in the description that goes through how to do this in depth. So I'll see you when I'm logged in. Once you're logged in, you'll be brought to this dashboard. Now, because I have some projects here already, you can see we have a few of these. But in your case, if this is your first time using Zigo Cloud, then you wouldn't see any of these. You would just see create your project. And we are going to start this tutorial from scratch. So I'm going to go ahead and then click on create your project. Now over here, again, as you can see, all the APIs they provide in SDKs. So what we are interested in here is the video conference. So go ahead and select that, scroll down, and then hit next. On this screen, you just have to give your project a name, and this doesn't have to match with what you created in the Flutter project. So I'm going to call this Flutter. Let me not do this in uppercase. I'll call this Flutter conference. And when you come down here, you have two ways to get started. One way is with your UI kits, which I mentioned earlier, and one way is with the SDKs, which give you total control. Of course, we are going to start with the UI kit, so go ahead and then click on it. And as you can see, your project is going to get created. So I'll be back when this is done. Once your project is done, you will be redirected to this page. And of course, we need to choose what we are building for. In our case, we are building for Flutter, so go ahead and select it. Once you are brought here, you don't have to do much. Just scroll down a bit to your right. We can close this and then simply click on save and start to integrate. Once you do that, you'll be brought to this screen, which shows you your app ID and your app sign, which are very important for the app we are going to build. So take note of this. What we want to do next is to click on quick start. And the beautiful thing is when you click on this, it opens in a new page. So you can always have access to your admin console where you have your app ID. Once this is loaded, you have a very quick tutorial on how to set this up. We are going to skip that. The next thing we want to do is to add the SDK as a dependency. So we can go ahead and copy this line, head back to VS Code, and then we can go into our terminal and then paste that line in there and hit enter. Wait for this to add this into your pubspec.yaml. Once that is done, you get a good confirmation that everything has been added, as you can see. I must also mention that you can get this done through the usual way through pub.dev. So you can see the same thing here as you would do as we've always done. So you can always select this and then you can go through read more, and then you can just copy this and then head back here, go to your pubspec.yaml. And then let's scroll down a bit and you would paste it right here under the dependencies like we've always done. But as you can see, it's already here, so there's no need. When we head back to Zigo Cloud, we can see that we are being told to import the package and then create this page. Okay, so it is as simple as that. And if you've followed along with other tutorials on this, you would notice that it has a very similar approach. So before I would use this, I would first go ahead and then create this video conference page. Okay, so what we can do is we can just copy this. So today I am lazy. So I'm going to copy this. I don't want to waste your time. Let's head back to VS Code. Let's go to the lib folder and then create this file. So we'll call this conference page. No, I like to call it screen, as you guys know by now. That I'm going to go ahead and then paste that line of code, and of course we are going to have a lot of complaints. So this is where we go ahead, we are going to import material. So my help is not coming, so let me do this manually. Okay, there it is. So let's import material, and then let's go ahead and also import the package. So as you can see, the two are imported. Let me close that gap there. So this is the page we have right here. Now we can see we have a number of things to configure. Okay, So we need to configure our app ID and then our app sign. Okay. And remember, I showed you where to get that. So head back to Zigo Cloud, go back to your admin console, and then you can find your app sign and then your app ID. Okay. So first copy the app ID. Let's go back to VS Code. And as you know, I like to put this in a secrets folder. So let's go ahead and create that. So go to the lib folder, click on new file, call it secrets. I hope that's how it's spelled, .dat. And then create a class called secrets. And then here we are going to create a static const. And then we are going to call this app ID. And this, we're going to paste in where we copied our app ID. So paste it in here. And then let's just set up the app sign. So this will be called app sign. And then this is going to be a string. So let's clear this and wait. So head back to, so let me correct this, it's lowercase. So head back to Zigo Cloud and then copy your app sign. So grab that, go back to VS Code and then paste it. It's pretty long. Now that we are done with this, we can head back to the conference screen. And now we can come to where we have app ID and simply type secrets.app.id. And then the app sign, the same thing. So we can say secrets.app.sign. Now, when we come here, we have the user ID and we have the username. So in a case where you had a proper login system, as I've always said, you would simply retrieve all of that from the user's login details and then use that. In our case, we don't have that. Now we could leave this just as it is, but we could make it a little bit more interesting by generating a random number for each user, like a random ID. So let's go back up. Right on top here, let's create a final variable called, so let me check the name here. I'll call it user ID, and then assign this to a random. So this random function is going to come from math library, the math library, as you can see over there. So we come out and say dot next int because we want a next integer and we are being asked for the maximum value it should go to. So let's say 1000 and then let's close this. Now you would notice that this here has a type int, which means an integer takes numbers. But when we come here, our user ID here has a type of string. Okay, so this, we can use this here. So we just need to convert this into a string by using the toString method. So we can say toString. And now if we check the type here, it is a string. So we can come to this place. So what I'll do is I'll say user ID. You know what? I wanted to do a different thing, but I changed my mind. So I'll just call this user ID. And then when it comes to the username, I'll maintain the username because I cannot guess who will be using the app and I don't have a proper login system. So I'll just say underscore and I'll use string interpolation with the dollar symbol and then add the user ID. So what will happen here is we'll see username. In fact, let me get rid of the username, the name part. So we would see user underscore, maybe 200 underscore to 10,000. Would it get to 10,000? Okay, 1,000. So something like that. I hope you get the idea. And the last thing here is the conference ID. Our conference ID, as you can see over here, it's not something we are going to hard code. So this is more or less like your meeting ID if you've used Zoom and those other applications, where I create the meeting and I send you that ID. When you enter that ID at your end, then you're able to join my specific meeting. When you create yours, you send me your ID and I'm able to join your specific meeting. Now, how can we do that? We are going to get that through the constructor of this page. And as you can see, that is done for us already. Okay. And I'll show you how we can get that. And the last part here is the config. So this is the, should I say, the breadwinner of this entire application. So this config here, we are going to return the Zigo UI kit pre-built video conference config. That's a mouthful, I'll always say that. And this basically is what is going to give us the UI for the video interface. And literally, that is all. This is all you have to do if you are using Zigo Cloud. Very, very simple. You can easily prototype basic apps to test things out, and you can get industry working apps going. But like I said, this is a very basic tutorial to get you started. And if you wanted to build anything super complicated, then you can put in all those things you have to do to get it running. But literally, this is all we have to put in here to get things working. So let's go ahead and see the other configurations we have to do. So back here, if we scroll down a bit, you would notice that we need to configure our project and we need to change the compile SDK. So they are saying that if your project is created with Flutter 2, I don't know why you still be on Flutter 2 now, you should change it to 33. In our case, I am on Flutter 3 Plus, but just in case somebody is still behind, I'll show you how to do that. So we need to change this to 33. So let's head back to VS Code. So go to your Android folder, go to app, and then click on build.gradle. Scroll down, so let me get rid of this. Scroll down to Android till you see compile SDK version. Get rid of this part and enter 33. And to add this also, even though it hasn't been mentioned, scroll down a bit and then look for the minimum SDK and then make that 23, at least 23. So that is that for this. So let's head back to Zigo Cloud. Let's scroll down. We can see the next thing we have to do is to add permissions. So copy all of this, go back to VS Code, and to get to that folder, go into this source folder here, go to the main folder, and then we need the Android manifest.xml. Click on that, and then we want to paste it on top of the application. So I'll come here, create some space, and then paste. And just to make everything look neat, I will select this and tap to insert them so that they're in the same line. I'll close this since we wouldn't need it again. And in fact, let me get rid of that also. So let's head back to Zigo Cloud and see what we have to do. After this, you can see everything is well documented and you can follow this guide step by step. Now, the next thing we have to do is to prevent code obfuscation, very difficult word. And basically, when you build your executable or your app, this helps to, should I say, scramble the code within. So if somebody is trying to reverse engineer or a hacker hacks in, they don't really see what the code actually looks like. But this sometimes may also affect your classes. So what we are trying to do here is to put in a rule that is going to prevent our classes from being affected when this happens. So you can see we need to head on to our project, Android, and then app, and then create this file. So I'm going to copy the name so that I don't have to type it. Head back to VS Code. And then let me close the source folder. So this file needs to be in the app folder, but not in the source folder. So it should be in the same line as the source folder or build.gradle. So right click on your app. Okay, so here, okay, right click on the app folder and then click on new file and then paste the name you copied, press enter. So just like that. Now head back to Zigo Cloud and then copy this line and paste that in there. So head back to VS Code and then let's paste that in there, just like so. We can close this since we wouldn't be visiting this again. Head back to Zigo Cloud. And then the last step we have to do is to add this line of code to the release part of what? Our app build.gradle, sorry. So our project Android app build.gradle. We've been here before. So copy this line of code. Head back to VS Code. And then we are right here. So just below where we changed the minimum SDK version, let's go ahead under the release. So paste this right below. And we wouldn't need this again, so we can actually close it. I'll head back to Zigo Cloud and see the next step. So once we come back here, we are literally done if you are running this on Windows. Now, if you are on iOS, or let me put it this way, if you are going to release this app on both platforms, then you have to configure them for both platforms. Okay, so this is the Android configuration we've just finished. And this next part is for the iOS app configuration. Okay, so I'm going to leave this part as a challenge for you guys. Just follow this step. Okay, as you can see, everything is laid out like we did. Just follow this step and then go ahead and do that. I'm going to skip this part. And then the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and then run this application. But before we can run this application, let me head back to VS Code. What we've done so far is to set up all of this. Okay, if I go to the main.dat, you can see that over here, I have cleaned up my main.dat. I've made this a dark theme. I have simply removed the debug banner. That is literally all I have done here. And I've created a login screen. Let me close all of these. The login screen is right here, which I went and I've built a simple page. So let me show you what it looks like. This is all it looks like. Okay, so I'll run you through the code. Very simple. So I started with a safe area, a wrapping a scaffold, a center widget with a single child scroll view and a pattern. Okay, as you can see. Then I have a column with a text, and that's what you see here. And I just styled the text and I aligned the text to the center. Some size box for spacing, and I have another size box which holds my text field so that I can regulate the width and height if I want. And I styled it a bit, as you can see. The next thing here also is a button, and you can see I put it in a size box, an elevated button. Right now it has an empty function for now, and then I have a start or join, as you can see over there. And literally that is all for this screen. This is important because without it, then how do I enter my conference ID? You understand, to start my video call, and that is why we have this done. So as I explained earlier, in the conference screen, we would get this ID from what the user inputs here. So let's go ahead and fix that. So you can see this is just an empty function, and we want that when this button is pressed, we would navigate to the conference screen. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to open up this bracket, and then you call the usual navigator. So navigator dot push, and as usual, we know we need a material page route if you're on Android, a Cupertino page route if you're on iOS. And in the builder here, we know this always takes a context, and then we are going to return, our screen. So here we want to go to the conference screen. So it's video conference screen, and we need to pass in the conference ID. So let me make this much more readable by putting in some commas. So the complaint is here, it requires that ID. Don't worry, we'll fix that very soon. So basically, we need to get the ID from this text field. So if we enter 20, we need to get that 20. And the way we can do that is with the help of a text editing controller. So let's go up. And one thing I forgot to mention is this login screen is a stateful widget. So let's come in here, and then let's create a final, and what do we call it? Conference, let's say ID. And then this is going to be a text editing controller. And let's go ahead and dispose this as good practice. So just type DIS and select the bottom one. And then let's get rid of this to do. And then down here, we would simply type conference ID dot dispose. And that's all for here if we close this up. Now we can go back down here. Let's go to our text field if I haven't passed it, and then pass in the controller to be our conference ID. So here I am getting invalid constant value, and that is because I have a const wrapping this somewhere. So I think that's on this size box. So I'm going to get rid of this, and I have to put it here. and here, and that solved that issue. Okay, so the last thing we'll do next is scroll to the side, and now we can fix that issue. So we can say that the conference ID, we are going to get it from the conference ID, that is our controller, and we want the text that is in there. So we can format this properly now, and we can have a look at it. So that is all we have to do to configure that part. Now, since I have this running already and we've changed a lot of things within the build of the application, we need to stop this. And then let's head back to the main.dat so that we can rebuild this. So run, I like to run without debugging. And I'll be back when this is all done. Once that's done, you may get some complaints about deprecated code down here, but that's fine. So we can go ahead and then test this to see if it works. So go ahead, enter any ID of your choice. I'll go with 1, 2, 3, and then I'll hit start or join. So in this case, you can see the permissions we put in are working. So let's go ahead and say while using the app and while using the app. And as you can see, this is working. This is just a weird thing the Android emulator shows since it doesn't have a physical camera to show the user's face. So if I just click on the screen, you can see we have this wonderful UI which we didn't have to create. And all of that is coming from this Zigo UI pre-built video conference config. Okay, and that's the beauty of these pre-built kits. So over here, we have our camera which we can turn off. We have our mic here which we can turn off. Of course, we can end. And we can mute sound. We can chat if we have to. So I'm the only one here. I can say hi. So let me hit send here. As you can see, I'm the only one. There's nobody here. Then on top here also, we can see the list of users. And then I can flip the camera. And let me just say got it. So as you can see, assuming I flip my camera and then you see my TV behind. So that's what the users will see in case I'm in this conference. And what I'll do next is we can also share your screen. So if you click on this, so start recording or custom with Flutter conference will have access. So if I say start now, confirm that. So this is like me sharing my screen like you see in all those apps and it's being recorded and all of that. So I'll say stop sharing and we are back here again. Of course, if I click on this, this ends that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and build this on my physical device so that you can get a better preview. So I'll close this and we are back on this screen. I'll be back when I'm done with the build. All right, so I am back building the app on my physical device. So what I'm going to do is I would enter, so I'm going to be the host on my physical device. I'm going to enter the key, let's say 1, 2, 3, just keep it simple. And I hit start to join. And I'm just going through permissions right now. And this is on now. So I'm going to the main device here. So sorry, the emulator, and I'll enter the same 1, 2, 3 I entered. And I'm going to hit start or join over here too. So as you can see, we are in the conference right now. So you can see I am showing you the emulator. You can see my screen right here. So this is one user and this is me. If we had multiple users, then we can go ahead and we'll see them. Okay, so me being the host, like I showed you, I can see a number of things. Okay, so here if I check, we can see the users that are there. As you can see, it's the same thing at my end. I can also see the users that are there. Okay, now if I come out of this and I decide to chat this time so that you can see. So if I say hi, and then I send this, then this pops up in my chat, hi. So I'm also going to go ahead and reply to this. And then let's say hello and say, hope you are enjoying the conference. And when I send this, you can see the message I just typed is there. So we didn't have to worry about creating all of this. All of this is just powered by the Zigo Cloud pre-built conference kit. Okay, so that's how powerful this is. Of course, I can turn off my camera and just like that. So you can see I don't have a camera anymore and you can see I'm talking over there. I can turn off my mic and this time it's only me, just like that. and I can also turn off my audio. As you can see, I'm back. So any user, if you want, you can share your screen. So if I start screen sharing right now, so on my device, I get to see what the user is sharing. And then I can stop sharing over here. And let me do that from my end too. So if I say share, start now. So this is exactly what the user will see if I'm doing anything on my screen. Apparently, as it stands right now, I'm not doing anything on my screen. Okay, as you can see. So this is basically it, and I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you liked it, please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video tutorial.